Right now, at 6, a routine police response turns violent, with officers now defending their use of force against a 15-year-old.
Plus, why tensions only appear to be growing when it comes to a Tigard homeless shelter.
And I feel more than distressed. If I could move, I would.
Then, the transformation turning a classic Portland venue into an entertainment hub.
There's going to be comedy, DJs, live music, all sorts of different entertainment.
And later, getting geared up for the long-awaited return of playoff basketball to Rip City.
To have a local business show up for the fans in the city that really love the sports team so much is really great to see.
But first to our top story, a new body camera video from Vancouver police that shows a confrontation between an officer and a 15-year-old. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. Officers responded April 4th to a downtown Vancouver parking lot after they got a call the teenager was making threats. John Adams is here now to walk us through the video. John, seems like things escalated quickly here.
Yeah, and the newly released body camera video does show what happened here. We do want to warn you, some of that video may be tough to watch, though we'll note the teen in this case did survive. I spoke with a law enforcement expert to find out what officers are able to do in these situations. On the night of April 4th, Vancouver police responded to a parking lot on the 1400 block of Washington Street. A caller had reported a 15-year-old suspect causing property damage and threatening people on scene. When the first officer arrived, they attempted to take the suspect into custody. The suspect fought back.
It was a disturbance call. Officers, usually respond to calls like this. Their officers usually don't know what they're really walking into until they get there.
According to Vancouver police, the suspect tried to reach for the officer's gun and tore multiple items off the officer's ballistic vest, including a gun magazine and the officer's car keys, which they threw across the parking lot. These actions leading the officer to use what appears to be a form of neck restraint, which is considered deadly force under Washington law. Officers are only able to use deadly force when necessary to protect against an immediate threat or serious physical injury or death to the officer or another person.
A response that has to be measured, lawful, and within, police compliance.
Dr. Tyrone Pope, an assistant professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice and former New York City police sergeant, tells us investigators will be looking at this video to determine whether that use of force abides by Washington state law, and will note that the suspect chest bumped a person on scene and fought and spit at officers. The suspect was booked into a juvenile justice center and has been charged with attempted robbery, assault of a law enforcement officer, and multiple other charges. Dr. Pope says, most importantly, everyone survived the incident.
Everyone got to at least, walk away, and now we can look back and see whether actions were appropriate.
And after that incident, Vancouver PD contacted the Washington State Office of Independent Investigations. That office declined to investigate because there were no fatalities here. VPD will conduct an internal review when the Clark County investigation is completed. The officer involved has been placed on critical incident leave. That is standard protocol. David?
John Adams on our top story tonight. Thank you, John. Well, to a traffic alert in Salem now, where a stretch of Cherry Avenue from Johnson Avenue to Salem Industrial Drive is closed after part of a freight train derailed.
The Portland and Western train derailed 3 cars just before 1 o'clock this afternoon. This is a live look from the scene as crews work to clean up the mess. Officials say one of the cars was carrying ethanol, but there's no sign of a leak. The other 2 don't have anything hazardous inside. Fortunately, no one was hurt in all of this. Meantime, the cause of the derailment is under investigation. Police say that area could be closed throughout the night.
Let's get to your headlines now. And new this evening, a group of senators is asking Postal Service leaders to ignore a new executive order from President Trump, one aimed at changing how vote by mail works. So in a letter to USPS, governors, and the Postmaster General, lawmakers, including all 4 senators from Oregon and Washington, call the order unconstitutional, saying it gives the Postal Service a role that is meant for the states. You may remember the president's order asked Homeland Security to draw up a list of eligible voters, with a number of AGs from Democrat-led states now suing. Senators also emphasized the Postal Service should focus on delivering ballots, not regulating them.
Portland Police Chief Bob Days says a $17.5 million budget cut proposal for the Bureau will have a detrimental impact. As you may have heard, Mayor Keith Wilson is trying to fill a $160 million budget shortfall. The proposal would cut funding across multiple areas, including training, supplies, technology, and fleet, as well as reducing staff in some support programs that handle lower-level calls. That support program would lose 34 full-time positions.
This scale back is obviously going to translate to them taking less calls for service, which means those lower priority calls will likely go unanswered for an extended period of time.
Other proposed cuts include reductions to overtime, administrative staffing, and the Victim Services Unit, adding up to millions more in savings, rather. All of this is still a proposal. City councilors have until mid-June to adopt a final budget.
And Multnomah County has extended its deadline for applications for Preschool for All. It's been pushed back 2 weeks now to Thursday, May 14th. Officials say this gives families, especially those who are new to the program, more time to complete the process. There are about 7,000 total seats, so the county says it's already received thousands of new applications. Matt?
All right, David, the clouds have hung in there pretty much all day long today here over the valleys. But if we look out from our Vancouver Skycam at the Springs of the waterfront towards the southwest, across the West Hills, you can see there are some thin spots forming up right now. And I just looked out the window and I can see a little bit of blue in some of those thin spots. 56 degrees. Elsewhere in the state, though, I'll show you in just a second. Lots of sun. Our high was 56. Vancouver made 57. The 60s down in southern Oregon and in central Oregon. They will be widespread, including at the coast tomorrow and for the next several days. Now, here's what it looks like in the Dalles right now from our camera on the Oregon Veterans Home. Mount Hood, Columbia River rolling on, and a clear sky for the most part, 58 degrees. Still windy. Look at that. Gusts of 41 miles an hour in the Dalles right now, so whipping through eastern and central Oregon there. The coast, though, sunshine has broken out in Lincoln City on the central coast, 57 degrees there. And up at Mount Hood, you can see the top of the cloud layer that we've all been looking up at today. They're looking down on it just barely from timberline. It's on the cool side, but everybody will be warming up. 43 in the morning, so a cool morning, but gardeners, no worries. There's no threat of frost. 54 late morning, then we warm to the mid and then upper 60s by later in the day. And this is the beginning of a long stretch of mainly sunny and warm weather. We'll show you how warm a little later, guys.
Cannot wait. Thank you, Matt.
If you're going to come to a show at the Crystal Ballroom, you have zero excuse not to spend the night because there's so much more to do.
Zero excuse. Well, new this evening, a major expansion is in the works to one of Portland's most historic music venues, with developers hoping it helps give a corner of downtown a bit of a boost.
Celine Stevens is live downtown with more on the vision behind this new hotel. Hey, Celine.
Hi, Christine. Yeah, this is going to create an opportunity to have more bars, more shopping opportunities, more dining opportunities, and there'll even be a bridge that connects the hotel to the Crystal Ballroom for exclusive access during performances, but only if you're a hotel guest. So this vision that's just huge for this building, which has been vacant for the last few years until it was purchased by McMenamins in 2024. It was previously a hotel and then most recently a shelter, and now it will be a hotel that will add to the entertainment district goal that is in motion for Portland's West End. We took a tour today, and the halls are lined with artwork that are the lyrics to songs sung at the Crystal Ballroom. It will have 63 rooms with a mix of single and multi-bedroom units with private baths and some without. There will be live music opportunities here as well, and overall, the goal is for it to serve as an extension of the Crystal Ballroom and Hotel. Now, Shannon McMenamin, daughter of one of the founders, spoke about why this is so important.
It'll give people a reason to come to downtown Portland and to, stay on our property and maybe visit some of the businesses that are around us and to really enjoy what the city has to offer. It's more about creating a entertainment district in one area of the city, something similar that you'd maybe see in like another city like Nashville, where they've got multiple music venues and bars and entertainment.
So when it comes to the development costs, that's all still murky. And when it comes to the name and when exactly this hotel will open, that's still unknown. But McMenamin says we can expect it to open sometime within the next year. Back to you.
Yeah, something to celebrate in yet another corner of downtown there. Celine Stevens there for us. Thanks, Celine.
Yeah, that sounds like something fun to do. And if you're into fun things to do, and you have burger on the brain. Good timing, because a new In-N-Out opened today in Vancouver. While the lines weren't wrapped around the building like we've seen at other spots, there was a handful of faithful fans who showed up before sunrise.
That surprisingly early riser that he is, that includes our Thomas Schultz.
You know what they say, the early bird gets the worm. But does that same mindset apply to burgers?
I originally woke up at like 3:30.
Hannah Boyette is a true In-N-Out fan, dating back to her days growing up in California. On Thursday, she roused her boyfriend out of bed and dragged him here to the first In-N-Out in Vancouver.
I want to be like the first person inside.
She even asked us to mark the occasion with a photo of the hungry couple. And they weren't alone. In the wee hours of the morning, dozens gathered for the grand opening.
Well, I'm from California. We have In-N-Outs down there. I didn't do this for the Ridgeville one, so I thought I'd do the one that, is right next to my house.
Everyone with one thing on their mind.
Usually I get either a double-double or the secret triple.
Just a normal burger and fries. Like a double-double with like some animal fries.
I usually get a double-double, no cheese, fries, and a milkshake.
And who's to say 8:45 in the morning is too early for burgers and fries?
The food. It's just too good.
Maybe just today, we can let it slide.
It's a great environment. It's not just the food, it's like the environment that comes with it, and I think that's something that everyone should experience.
Thomas Schultz, KGW News.